So before I set you on the tripod and to go over this with you from afar, I'll just give you a close-up. This is the, I believe it's the 2013, 2014, or actually might be the 2012, 2013 model, Ocean Kayak Predator MX. It's a little bit less than 13 feet. The big brother to this is the Predator 13, and it's exactly 13.1, because 13 is an unlucky number. So this is shorter, but it's wider. It's a little squattier than the full size. You've got a dry storage up front, and then these right here are your rod tip protectors. So back there on the sides of your seat, I can show it to you in a little bit, where I've actually got my paddle strapped in. There's a groove with an elastic strap that you lock underneath a big disc, and your rods go down there and follow the length of the boat, and you put the tips of the rod underneath these rod tip protectors. So it really it's really convenient. It keeps your fishing rods out of the way, and it keeps your tips on your rods from getting broke. This dry storage has a lock and a really good seal on it. There's rubber that's lined on the inside, and then this twists to push out and lock it. This storage runs all the way the length of the boat, but right underneath, it's going to be impossible to show you, but right underneath it dips down, and there's kind of a little small wall there. Really small things can slide underneath it, but for the most part, big things, like if you're stuffing a dry bag or whatever, like what I did on that Buffalo kayak trip, whatever I didn't want to get wet ever, 100% wanted it to stay dry, I put it in a dry bag and then inside this dry hatch. It's being overcautious, but you know, you don't want your clothes to get wet if you're out for 4 days and don't have a way to get to your truck. You don't want your sleeping bag, you don't want your hammock, so you know, that kind of stuff I put in here because you know, it keeps it organized, and it also does not allow it to get wet, especially if you double dry it, you know, dry bag and in this dry seal, then it just latches like that. You got a nice big grip handle at the front. Your foot pedals here are on a slide track, and they adjust. So you pull this tab out, slide this forward, let go, and it locks. And then you can pull it up, and it'll lock for you. This does have scupper holes in the boat. So if you notice these little plugs here, Ocean Kayak has a really cool scupper plug system. Those scupper plugs are what you see on sit on top kayaks. They're not in sit in kayaks, and the reason for that is if you leave the scupper plugs out of the holes, water doesn't fill up in a kayak, but it lets water drain out. With the river being high and me expecting a lot of mud and debris and stuff, I put the plugs in there to just minimize the water. Now what's cool is these plugs, they're designed a certain way to allow water to drain out of them but not come back in. So that's really cool. I got my life jacket there. It's just a Bass Pro. It's got a bunch of pockets and stuff like a fishing life jacket. I put my wedding ring and whatever else that I don't want to lose in the zippered pockets. There's no way that, you know, it'll come out. Because when my hands get wet, my wedding ring slides off. I've got my solar charger right there in the sun. My paddle is a Carlisle Magic is the model, and I got one that's a little bit longer than your standard ones because I prefer having a longer paddle. I can get more bang for my buck when I push with each stroke, and it keeps it from hitting against the sides of the boat as bad. In the back here, you've got an open storage, and I really like that about this boat, because you can actually take that bungee off if you want and stack stuff up, and then just ratchet strap stuff down if you have to. This seat is adjustable. Right now it's locked in place, and I'd have to set this down or whatever to do it, but it pops out of place, and back here there's a track system that the whole seat raises up, and then it raises forward, and it latches in up there so that you're sitting up above the kayak, and that's what they call their attack mode. And it's really nice if you're fishing, you're kind of up above the kayak and you can kind of see everything a lot better. So other than that, I really like it. I'll put you on the tripod and show you what it looks like when you're sitting in it. All right, so just to kind of give you a advantage, this is what you're looking like. I love sit on top kayaks because you don't have any restrictions. You know, I've been in plenty of sit-ins and sit on tops, and even the sit-ins that have the large hole, you know, that even comes up to here where your feet are still underneath, I don't like it. I mean, I'll always find some way that I turn and it hits my shin, or I don't know, I'm not a fan of them. I like being able to hang my feet off the side. I like being able to reach up and have access to everything, you know, and there's no sides on this. You know, you can put your hands here, you don't have to put your hands inside. And majority of sit on top kayaks can hold more weight. I'm a bigger guy. I have bigger shoulders, you know. I weigh more than you know, than other people. I mean, I'm not huge, but you know, I'm 230, 225, 230 pounds, and I can sit in this and load this up for 4 days, and my back end or front end never sags in the water. It never, I don't, you know, it's just a tank. And majority of your sit on top kayaks can hold more weight. You take a 10-foot sit on top kayak and a 10-foot sit in kayak, and there's normally a difference in the amount of weight. So like I said, normally, that's not guaranteed, but I really like this boat. And you can stand up in this boat. The way it's made, you can literally stand and fish out of it. So it's an awesome boat. And I don't know if you saw the black plates that are on the side, but those are your mounting plates. You can do different configurations for your GoPro cameras, fishing rod holders, depth finders, you know, all that stuff. And instead of having to drill into your boat and tap it with threads, you can literally just use a nut and bolt and get underneath here, you know, drill a hole here, mount your plates, and then tighten it underneath. And then if you don't like it or something happens, you can just buy replacement plates. You don't have a hole in your kayak if you decide you don't like the configuration after a year or so of using it. So this is the kayak that I prefer and I use when I do camping and fishing and all that, and it's great. It really is. It's not cheap. It's not cheap at all, but it's a one-time thing, a buy once, cry once kind of thing. So, all right, guys, that is my complete, everything I brought with me, my complete loadout, my complete kayak kit. If I were to be camping, and I could easily have brought just a couple of dehydrated meals and could have easily, you know, been out here a weekend. So, you know, no problem. But just remember, if you're gonna do any kayak camping, if you don't want it to get wet, take extra precautions, because just assume everything's gonna get wet. I mean, you'll be surprised at what you thought wouldn't get wet is. Even on calm water, even just paddling in lakes and stuff, you're constantly slinging water and dripping, and you know, it doesn't take a lot for water to splash up to, and so just keep that in mind. And then take advantage of the sun. Use the sun to dry your stuff out. Set your kayak seat and all that, you know, in the sun so it can dry. You know, there's nothing worse than getting in a wet seat to go home and then you're soaking wet when you get in your car. So just keep that stuff in mind. It's awesome. Kayak camping is awesome. It is one of my favorite ways to go out in the woods and to have fun. You can load stuff down and easy to paddle. You're not in any hurry. It's not a race. You get to your campsite and just carry stuff from here to there. You're done. It's awesome. So look into it. You know, start off with something that that isn't a bank, you know, breaks the bank. You know, start off with something you find on Craigslist or whatever, a friend, and just see if you like it, because this is an investment. You know, as soon as you buy this, you're immediately taking up at least 12 feet of space somewhere. A lot of people don't plan that. You know, a year from now, are you going to want this to take up 12 feet, 13 feet of space somewhere in your life, either in storage, in your garage? You don't want to leave it outside, it'll warp it. So, you know, think of that. Think of the weight. I don't mind it weighing more. I can maneuver this, you know, like what I've done, because I'd rather it weigh a little bit more and be able to hold more weight than it be some streamlined, fast kayak I can fly all around the water and not pack anything in it. So, anyways, I'm starting to ramble, guys. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this, and I'm really planning on doing this a whole lot, especially this winter, even when it's cold, so I can show you some different ways that you can kayak even when it's cold and all that. So have a good one, guys. Thanks for watching.